Here we go. Welcome, Natalie. I'm just so thrilled to be interviewing you today about your business. This is Natalie Monica. She and I have known each other for about a decade, actually more than a decade, because we met at Yandara Yoga Institute back in our early 20s when we were little baby yoga instructors. I think I was like 20, I was probably 23. How old are you?
Yeah, same,
Yeah, 22 to 23. So we met
same. Yeah.
there. Then she got certified in club yoga, which is now kinesiology yoga, started teaching that. She has since done a lot of my online steel mace vinyasa content. She does heavy clubs. She is coming onto our team as a head coach and is going to be teaching seminars regionally in Toronto. I just cannot say enough about Natalie. I'm just so excited to interview her. But today's interview is really focused on her time with us in Embodied Yoga Business School. She did one full round, which was, I want to say like 3 or 4 months, and then she added on an additional 3 months. So she's been in the cohort for around like 7 months. She also stepped into Embodying Flow and was doing our weekly training as well with Steel Mace. But Natalie, I'd love to give the floor to you for a bit. Tell us a little bit about where you're at in the country or in the North America and what you're up to in your business.
Yeah. So I'm coming from Toronto, Canada, and I started to promote more of the steel mace workshops and steel mace coaching here locally in Toronto. I do some stuff online, but a lot of it has been in person now that I've started to expand my offerings and my teaching. My background, I came into yoga like feeling very broken. I had a chronic neck and body tension. I was struggling mentally with depression and anxiety. I had a lot of like mental and physical issues. And I spent close to a decade learning, training, studying all different methodologies of yoga to try to first get myself out of the situation that I was in. And then I just found so many avenues that gravitated toward me towards helping other people and working with seniors and accessible mobility and then strength training and mobility. So I feel like now after, I guess, 15 years in practicing and teaching, I finally found my niche. I finally found my, I guess, like what I really want to do. And I'm focusing there now, which is just like lots of one-on-one coaching, lots of loaded asana, steel mace, clubhouse, whatever the tool is. And then really working on helping other teachers learn chair yoga and mobility to be able to teach special populations and work in different places. Because I've gotten just like a lot of fulfillment from teaching in retirement homes and communities and long-term care homes. And it's like something that's really close to my heart. So that's what I'm up to these days.
Awesome. Yeah, actually, Natalie developed a full teacher training program separate from the Steel Mason Club stuff around her signature methodology, which is chair yoga. And she spent a lot of time teaching and spends a lot of time teaching in retirement homes. And she has this really amazing opportunity, like a business opportunity too, for yoga teachers to add a new skill set and really niche down on working with the elderly. And a lot of my clients throughout the years are, aging adults 60s, 70s, even 80s. And I think it's just so imperative that we give these tools to that population so that they can age pain-free with confidence, like limiting fall risk, improving balance, improving neuroplasticity, all the things that I know that you provide in your both your chair training and then adding load. So
Yeah, I love it.
let's dive into where you were at before you started Embodied Yoga Business School, if you can recall. Where were you at and what was missing in your business? Like why'd you join?
So when just before I joined, before that offering, I guess didn't exist. So like I was one of the first people in it. I was coming off of a reduced workload and after mat leave and also like coming out of this year, like couple years of COVID where things had moved online mostly. And then I was coming back offline and as I was coming back in person, then I got pregnant and that changes everything. And I was really trying to navigate how am I going to balance this new motherhood load and work because was going to do both. So I felt a little bit stuck generally and unsure of like what direction when I returned. The industry like felt like it was shifting so much at that time, especially with the rise of like social media and Instagram and all these different avenues. And I was feeling like I was kind of confused of like, okay, I have all these skills, I have all this stuff. I don't know how I want to bring it forward. And my main goal was to create a business that worked for my life and not the other way around. So before, like previous life, it was like running around studios and this and that, like a lot of traveling. And I was like, I cannot physically do that anymore. And I have to spend some more time at home with my baby. So I was like, how can I reorient my business in a way that actually serves me so that I could stay home longer chunks of time with my baby as she's growing up. So that was like a really big catalyst for me getting into this business coaching, because I was like, I know I don't want to go back just to regular group classes. I have way more skill set. I also like, I just wasn't feeling it. I was like, I want to do something that I'm passionate about. And then I really felt like I needed to utilize my skill sets, and I needed to utilize training with load. Like that's the thing that's kept me consistent over a decade, is training with load. And I really wanted to just go right into it.
Yeah, and I remember you came to at least, I think you came to two Steel Mace Vinyasa level one seminars virtually, right? You've come to
Yeah.
two now.
Mhm.
So it's basically learning similar concepts from the original kinesiology yoga work, but then adding the Steel Mace and adding just a deeper understanding. And I remember when you started creating your offers, it was just like everything kind of came together and you're like, hey, I've been embodying this and practicing myself for like 10 years. Of course,
Yeah.
I can teach people in workshops. Of course, I can teach people in one-on-one virtual. Like you just kind of took the ball and ran with it.
It felt so good, to be honest with you. And I really appreciated both those workshops. Like even the secondary one, I picked up so much more, even though you go through it once. There's just so much content. There's so much complexity even in your own being every time you pick up your mace. Like I always learn something. So I'm like, I will come to as many seminars as you put out. That's like that's just like, I'm here for life.
Well, you're going to be teaching them in Toronto very soon, hopefully in the fall, fingers crossed. And then I'm
Fingers
actually going to
crossed.
be passing the torch to people like Natalie and Coach Alicia, who's in our 100 hour, to carry the torch, and some other coaches too, because I want to start teaching the level 2 content, which it takes a really long time to like really get that one seminar really dialed. And now I'm like, sweet, now we're ready for the level 2. So keep an eye out for that. And you can definitely come to those too.
I will. I'm coming.
So I'm curious, what do you have now as far as like assets, offers, like marketing strategy? What do you have now that you've done, 2 rounds of embodied yoga business school that you didn't have before?
Well, I would say definitely round one was like figuring everything out. Like round one was like essential to like understanding like even what an like offer is. Like what am I offering? Like that was the first thing I had to ask myself. Like, well, what am I offering? So I definitely started to streamline my business and kind of work on my business in a way that I'd never had before. So that was like a different mindset shift, instead of like just working like in the business, on the business, streamlining the offers and coming up with the offer. So I have a 1 month trial that's like a strength and mobility coaching trial that leads into an expanded 3 month coaching offer, which I have quite a few clients that have signed up for that in the last 6 months. So that's been really amazing to see, and really dial in program design and working one-on-one with people, and working on transformation, and having these like direct offers where I know, like from coaching session 1 to 4, what we're working on their goals. Like that has just been so amazing, because it's allowing me to get really strong, tangible results from my clients. And then I'm able just to use that as feedback moving forward. So I'm really excited about those offers, especially like the packaging of it and the selling of it, the way it's kind of easy to understand. It's like you get 1 month and then you get, 3 months in this container. This is what it is. There's nothing outside of that right now. Like that's, if you want to work with me, that's like the boundary I have, and that's the container I have, because I want to do this work, and this work, it takes a certain amount of commitment and mindset shifting, and kind of drifted away from any like one-offs, like here and there maybe a one-off private, but like other than that, like I don't go week to week anymore with people. It's like I'm showing up, you're showing up, and we're building this container to transform something. So that's kind of like the thing I'm most jazzed about. And then I decided to pull my chair yoga and mobility teacher training off the shelf. I've shelved it since I was pregnant. I haven't taught it. And I'm bringing that back out. I'm switching up the format a little bit. I used to do it over a month, and now I'm just doing like a 2 day, loads of information. I'm switching my content from one platform to the other. I'm redoing my manual. I'm kind of just like, let's go. Like, let's get this down and let's start really educating people on how they can increase not just their earning, like, but the quality of their life as they're earning. So as a yoga teacher, like one of the things that I really wanted to get out of right away was like having to teach these back-to-back classes, like 7, 8, 9 p.m. and all these weird times. Like I want to work during the day. I want to, have older adult hours when I, check out at 3 p.m. and spend the rest of the evening at home with my kid and then work on my business at night. Like I want some time freedom. And if I get paid a lot more, like I basically, I 3x'd my income. So if I go to a studio, I get paid one rate, but if I go to a retirement home, I get paid 3 times the amount for a fraction of the time. So I was like, no, it's like a no-brainer. I need to be able to streamline and really do what I'm passionate about. And I'm excited about all that stuff coming up.
Sweet. Yeah, working smarter, not harder is a huge MO, or it's just like kind of a mantra in embodied yoga business school. It's like looking at how much time you have in a week to work. What are your client facing hours? Can we fully book your schedule? I know you've got goals to like get fully booked and you're pacing yourself, which is awesome because you have a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
But we really, at the end of the day, want to choose to be providing services that are providing us with the most amount of income. So I just love to just see that you're charging what you're worth. You have 15 plus years experience, and I just am excited to see where it goes from here because this is only the beginning. So I'm curious about your workshops because I've seen a lot of posts and things about your workshops, but can you tell us a little bit about like the cadence and the rhythm for your workshops annually and like what's all included in the workshops topics, like who comes to them?
Um, yeah, so last year, I haven't run any this year yet. Last year I ran, I think 6. Like they were pretty close together because I was, trying to just get the word out and getting, Mace in hands. So the first one went really well because it was like a free offering and people would come in and out. So that was great. And I focused really on the population that was in one of the studios that I teach out of, which was like midlife adults. A lot of them were more women in this first one. And that gradually shifted over time. But I really started to talk to them more about strength. So everybody practices yoga and they want to be bendy. And a lot of the students that was teaching was seeing like they were all like kind of plateaued, like they're going to the same classes or doing the same things, and they're like, oh, my hips are still stiff, and my legs, and I know I have to get stronger as I'm aging. Everybody was saying that, but I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym. So I was like, okay, we're going to bring this little tool in, we're going to get it. So we focused on glute and leg strength, and that was really popular. So we did single leg balance, we did open hip conditioning, and really started to get them feeling pushing from the ground up, like using their foot, using the recruitment from their glutes, their core, and their lats, and really starting to feel the embodiment of strength inside, even with something as low as like a 5-pound clubbell and a 5-pound mace. So that was like the entry point. And then I started focusing on things that were really helpful to me. So like the second 2 workshops where part 1 and 2 were about shoulder strength and mobility. So we were working on reducing tension in the shoulders, identifying compensation patterns. We started off with different assessment drills and looking at, okay, where are you stuck? Are you able to engage? Do you have full range of motion in different directions, internal, external rotation? It was kind of really nerding out on that, on those parts. And then here's like the basics with your mace. So mace switches, reverse in front. How do you swing forward and back? How do you create traction in the shoulders? How do you start to feel like you're actually going in the right direction and getting more mobility and strength at the same time? Part 2 was focused more on the isometric contractions, coming down and into different motions. I think that I incorporated more closed hip conditioning and arm endurance, body weight in those as well. So people had a different sense of how to use their bodies to create strength in their shoulders and throughout their hips and core. So that was really good. I had good feedback on that one, those 2 series. And then I did a couple more. And they range. So like, I feel like the last one I did probably had the highest attendance. We had, I think, 16 or 17 people in it. And it was just just like named it strength, like something to do with strength. I don't need to remember. But I had built up enough, I guess, buzz over
Mhm.
these, like with my content, with my reels in the studio. People were watching me film promos. I would take 10 minutes before class, just like, guys, I'm just going to film a couple. I need this for my reels. So they would watch me do stuff in class and they'd be like, whoa, like, that looks hard, but that looks fun. And like, I'm like, yeah, put it in your hand. Let's feel it. Like, just really trying to lead by example, because this has been something that helped me rebuild my neck and my shoulders, my body, helped me rebuild my mindset. I know that this system works. Like, I know it inside. So it's just about getting the right, um, creating the right environment for people to feel safe enough to try it, and getting through all of the hurdles of the excuses why people don't want to lift anything. So I ran into that a lot, where I was like, oh, people are like genuinely like afraid of
Mhm.
strength, but they want it.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, so now I have to shift my, my marketing, my messaging, and start to talk to those people more, because there's so many people that came up to me and they were like, I know, like, how am I going to fix my shoulders or fix, and anytime I'll say strength of any kind, it's like, oh, but I don't want to lift weights, but what if I get hurt, or what if I get too bulky? And that's my like favorite thing when people say, what if I get too bulky? I was like, do you know how much I've had to lift? And I wish I could get that bulky. Like, if it was that easy to get bulky, like, people wouldn't be taking like a ton of supplements and like doing all this stuff. Like, you actually can't. Like, it takes a lot to build that kind of muscle. You're not just gonna like lift a 7-pound mace and you're all of a sudden gonna be like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So yeah, I wish, trust me, I gotta do push-ups for that stuff.
So basically you did 6 workshops in the time that you were in your beginning kind of round and a half of Embodied Yoga Business School.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the way that you're talking about this stuff, like in Flow Coach Accelerator, we really talk about this idea of movement coaching. And since you've done the level 1 seminar, since you've done the extra education, you really have a very strong grasp of like movement coaching and adding that element of mobility and the why behind the movement, and really like getting people comfortable with the tools, making it fun. It's really cool to see that you're able to have that much of a command on the kind of movement coaching title in just such a short time.
I
Yeah.
love that title. I was actually in between for so long, like, because I studied as a yoga therapist. I did like over 1,000 hours in yoga therapy. And for a while, I was like trying to like be that. Like, I was, a part of the IYT, and I was and I was just not working. Like, it just wasn't working. And I was like, okay, but I also have this, and I also have this, and I also have my background. I was like, I needed something that would encompass like the totality of the education and the physical embodiment of what I've been doing for 15 years. And it just felt like it was like the right time and like the right fit to rebrand as a holistic movement coach. So I'll thank you for that.
Yeah, I
The
really
coach of all
prefer, yeah,
coaches.
right. It's just such a simple term. It's like holistic movement coaching. Like people really are drawn to that title. Whereas I think yoga therapy, yes, you can have 1,000 hours, but it entails that we're like fixing something, like we're doing
Yeah.
therapy on something that's broken. Whereas I feel like movement coaching is like, we're going to give you tools to become more functional, and we're going to progressively coach you through several different programs to have you acquire new skills. So that's kind of
Mhm.
how I like navigate those two differences in titles. And you're right, like the marketing is really what attracts the clients. So I'd rather market to people that are wanting to acquire new skills, get more functionally fit, like trust me as their coach and build strength, versus I think I've never called myself a yoga therapist, but I do think a lot of the stuff we do is in that realm.
Oh yeah, for sure. It is. Especially we're doing assessments as well when people are coming in for their initials, and the intake that I have people fill out, even just like it's like I take so much from everything, but I find the setting apart is the progressive overload, like understanding progressions, understanding program design, and also working with specific like bodies. Like, I have one client which I'm so proud of. Well, I have two, but this one stands out a lot because like within a 6-month period, he's come from not doing any sort of strength training, came in like with a little bit depressed anxiety, had some personal stuff, but he wanted to feel embodied. He knew he wanted to gain the skill. He loved the Mace. He'd come to a couple workshops, and then we did a one-on-one trial that led into 3 months. Now we just renewed another 3 months, and he's already on 360s. It's like, I wish I learned that fast. Like, I wish I had my coach like in my town, as you've always been where you are. I've had to train online or like travel to meet with you. I'm like, I didn't have me when I needed me, so like now I'm so pumped that I can like, it's like fast tracking. I'm like, oh great, drop swings, wonderful, like, and like he feels so good. Like he's so pumped for the next session. He's so excited every time. He's like, I booked my next session, let's go. Like,
Yes. And that's the movement coaching people versus people that are in, I mean, we can still work with people in chronic pain, but I think that the title holistic movement coaching and the branding that you're doing is really attracting those like empowered clients that are ready to take it to the next level, and they're ready to show up, be consistent, do the homework. And I love to, when you mentioned your container of like, it's 12 weeks, it requires a certain amount of commitment. And I think for us to really transition from just being yoga teachers into movement coaches, having those containers where it's like, I'm designing a program, you're showing up every week, you're doing your homework, it really helps our clients like raise the bar and like get to that next level because we're calling them to like a higher standard.
yeah, for sure.
So I want to talk a little bit about your content because I saw a huge shift in your content since you started Embodied Yoga Business School. Um, so I might be throwing you a little curveball as far as the question,
Yeah.
but I'm curious, what shifted when you're in Embodied Yoga Business School and working with me on just the type of content to be creating, the frequency, the showing up in stories? Like, what did you change compared to how you were doing it before? And like, how has that impacted your business?
So a few things. So initially there's a lot of feelings around content, right? So like there's a lot of anxious anxiety. I don't want to see my face or hear my voice. There's a lot of these weird things that will come out as I was, in my previous, I guess, my previous life of creating content. And it was never aimed toward anything that specific. Like it was like kind of throwing it to the wind and like hoping something lands. But understanding the reverse engineering, like I have offers now, I have a freebie now, I have stuff in my store now that lives in my bio. So I'm making content to drive people to those things. And I got really clear on who I was serving, which wasn't clear before. I help midlife people, build strength and mobility without stepping in a gym with my one-on-one coaching. So that's easy. It's understandable. Like I know who my client avatars are. I understand. I'm working with them on a regular basis. They come in and out of my life. And I feel like at one point, I think it was like the third month, like it was towards the end of the first one where it just kind of clicked for me. I was like, all I need is 12 seconds. All I need is a hook. I know where I'm driving traffic to. Like throw it out there, move on, throw it out there, move on. Like you don't need to be so precious about it. Like oh, I don't like my face. Cool. Nobody cares. Like they're not judging me as harshly as I'll judge me. So it's kind of like understanding that neutrality piece around the content. Like if something doesn't work, it's not a reflection on me. It's just the algorithm. It's not the right messaging. I do it again. I just do it again. So it's kind of like learning to get the reps in was probably the biggest thing. Is like if I never just did it, if I didn't have a bunch of like reels already ready to go in my drafts that I can just throw a caption on and point it somewhere, package freebie, this, it made it really a lot more simple than I had thought in the past. Like, I was overthinking a lot of things, and I was like playing to the fears that were underlying, like somehow if someone doesn't buy for me, it's a reflection that I'm not good enough as a coach. Like it was just kind of understanding that there's this giant piece as a front facing person in your business that like I'm selling a service. It's different than who I am as a person.
Mhm.
So like that was huge. This like piece of like, this is my business. This is my offer. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
And I will try to make content that gets people that want to work with me. And the feminine sales style, like when you came out with this, like it just completely was like, oh yeah, no wonder I failed in all the masculine sales. No wonder I hated it. And like like every no is almost a yes, like these types of like that's not me, like I'm not like it just when so like all those little pieces like slowly I was like sinking in like, oh no, I want my clients to resonate. I want them to come to me. I don't want to fit like, a round peg in a square hole. Like, no, like it's not for you. It's okay. Like, I'm okay that I'm not for you if that's the case. Like, you know, I'm doing well enough right now. I'm working on expanding, but I kind of have that piece of like, take it or leave it. I'm working with what I'm working with. I'm going to attract who I attract. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know
and
if
a
that
lot of
makes
your
sense.
content, I see for Natalie's content, you can definitely check her out. What's your Instagram handle, real quick?
Natalie Marnica _movement
Cool.
on
Natalie
Instagram.
Monica _ movement. I do a little social media audit in both. We do one once a month in Flow Coach Accelerator, and we definitely work it into Embodied Yoga Business School. So we always recommend have your first and last name so we can find you, which I know is a
Yeah.
little change. But I think what I noticed in your content is it's simple, it's consistent. It's either you doing your practice or you teaching workshops or like maybe one other like B-roll style of thing, but it's simple,
Yeah.
repeatable. She's got a bunch of B-roll in her phone. She's creating all her drafts. She knows where she's reverse engineering and driving traffic to. She shows up in her stories every day. She's getting out of her own, like it's like getting out of our own way, like you said, like not overthinking it and just the algorithm or the clients, like they just need to see that you're consistent and then you're going to be relevant and top of mind. So it's super cool to
Mhm.
see that. Okay, so last question for you is what would you tell somebody that's on the fence about joining Embodied Yoga Business School?
Um, I would say do it. It is gonna be a lot at times, especially the beginning. Like, don't expect that it's like gonna be like, oh, I'm going and it's all gonna be just like, fluffy. It's going to challenge you in a very positive way. It's going to challenge you in a way enough that you're able to grow. And you're getting experienced eyes on your particular business to figure your stuff out. Like, I cannot tell you how much having Summer and some of the members in our team that have worked with us looking at your stuff, reading what your even I help statement is, understanding that you need an I help statement. Like, if you can't succinctly say who you help, I don't know what we're doing. And that was me for a really long time. So I'm not embarrassed to say that I really needed help tailoring that out and parsing it out. But like having somebody else who's not you, who's very experienced, just looking at your offers and helping you along the way is like the most valuable thing you can have. I think that's the best. And something that I wasn't expecting was like the group coaching part of it being so extremely helpful too, because when I'm on the group coaching calls with people, I'm taking so many notes on what you're telling them. Like, it's just like amazing. And watching somebody else's process is so helpful, because you're like, oh, I think I do that too, or I can relate to that. Oh, that was me when I first started. And you're like, I've come this far. And it really gives you ideas too when other people are sharing their struggles and their wins and their ideas and their new way of looking at things. Like, the group aspect was something I just like wasn't expecting to be so beneficial, and it really is. So like, I would just say do it. It's like, the first round, I think, is 3 months. It's worth it. That three
It's four
months you
now,
can.
actually.
Oh,
It's
it's
four.
4.
Yeah, I
Even
made it four
luckier.
just to give that extra time to
Oh,
like.
it's good. It's needed. Yeah. I mean, I think I had 4 months because we had a holiday, so I got an extra month. So I was really pumped. But you need it, and the accountability of like, I'm showing up to this meeting and I'm filling out a form to have something audited or and get all my pieces in my store, and just having that, like, there's something you need to do. And as entrepreneurs, when you're by yourself, like, it's very easy to just go, not this week, not today, another day. But with like, no, Summer's gonna have eyeballs on something, and so I better have something to show her that's happening this week, is like a nice little fire, under you to go, no, to like, somehow I'm gonna make it work. And like, honestly, like, I don't sleep anymore. My kid doesn't sleep. I'm still getting some stuff done, even if it's 1 or 2 things a week. I'm showing up. Like, there's just no excuses. It's like, you're going to get it done. Is this for your longevity? It's for your business. And ultimately, the more fulfilled you are in your work, the better quality of life you have. Because we spend most of our time working, so like that for me, that's the biggest piece. Like, when I see like money come into my stand store for like a workshop and it's like cha-ching, cha-ching, I'm always like, cha-ching. Thank you. Thank you. It's so rewarding seeing that little notification come up, and I would like share it in the group. I know it's like, I was like, sorry, but I have money coming in and I want you to see, like, from posting stories and reels, and like, this is working. So like, it's worth it. Like, cause it feels so good to finally be paid, compensated well for all this time. I've been studying, I've been paying for trainings for over 15 years. Like, it's not, I'm not new here,
Yeah.
I need an adult income, like, it's kind of like, it was been very helpful. So just do it. It's gonna feel a little bit uncomfortable, but you're in a very supportive container for that discomfort. So you're in the right spot.
Sweet. Well, that is definitely a glowing recommendation from Natalie. You heard it from her. She's definitely liking the stand store. And I think you nailed it. It's like we we are yoga practitioners, and in the yoga community or the yoga sort of like mindset, there's this sort of weird thing about money, but I really
Mhm.
truly believe we need to be well resourced to be able to do the work that we do. So we need to not be in a major stress mode wondering how much money's coming or counting up our $40 an hour classes. We need to have like a little bit of an overflow. We need to know that our clients are going to be re-enrolling, and when we can have that like peace of mind of knowing how many clients we have, how many of them are continuing to re-enroll, like what workshops are on the calendar, it can put our nervous system at ease so that we can do that deep transformational work with our clients. So thank you for speaking to that and just showing too that Natalie is a yogi and she appreciates money. I'm also a yogi, and I just think of money as energy, and the more we help people, the more we provide valuable content. Like I think of like my YouTube channel, like that's free content that I'm putting out all the time that I actually have to pay to like make that content for people. I
Yeah.
put out free master classes. Sometimes we put out free workshop series. And so when you help more people, the more people you help, the more money actually comes to you, which is kind of a fun little mindset thing about money.
Yeah, and I'll just like plug all your master classes because I've taken every single one, whether I'm on there live because I can be, or I'm listening it to the night that you put it out. Like, all of them so beneficial. I have pages and pages of Google Docs of notes from your master classes, screenshots. Like, I'm just saying, like, if you're not already somehow in the orbit of Summer Huntington, you need to be, because she is like the biggest leader for us. And I don't like, especially as a woman, mother, working and creating a body of work, creating like really a life that you can have sustainable, because like, it's so important that we have resources. It's so important that we have these. We have nobody else. I don't hear anybody else teaching the content that you teach, especially around money and sales. And I know that some people will just get repelled because, oh, you said money, and how, like, how dare you show like, $100,000 coming in or whatever. But I need to see that. I need to see what's possible. Other people like me need to see that's possible, because we've been in a helping field, and for so long it's like stigmatized that we should be poor and helping people. I don't know how I'm supposed to do that. I have car, rent, life, food, and inflation. Like, if I can't eat, I don't know how I'm going to focus enough to help somebody else, right? So it's kind of like, um, understanding that like, this is a huge piece. For some reason it's kind of been kept away from women. We're not supposed to talk about it. We're not supposed to like show it. We are supposed to just be grateful for whatever we have, and I am very grateful. But I'm very interested in the pursuit of sustainable and lots of money coming in for the work that I'm already doing and for the energy that I've already have. So
Preach.
do you.
Yes, and it's like it's just a matter of getting your offers dialed, getting your content dialed, staying consistent, and being a good service provider. I think
Yeah.
when you step into that role of like the more professional you are, the more you're going to attract really professional clients too. Like they're not going to bat an eye at your pricing because they really see so much value in all of the prevention of, injury, prevention of lifestyle related diseases, being
Yeah.
overweight, diabetes. Like we genuinely are providing so much prevention through the work that we do, especially as we add in the program design piece and the load piece. So of course we should be able to be compensated, and it's just as simple as showing up professionally, getting your offers dialed, having systems in place, which Body Yoga Business School is really about the 5 pillars of business. How do we bring people in? How do we have a fulfillment piece, which is the offer? What does client retention look like? So it's been such an honor to watch you grow, Natalie. Natalie, where can we find your work? What's your website? What's your Instagram? What's coming up on the horizon that we should keep an eye out for?
So you can find me on Instagram, mostly Natalie _movement. My website is smyoga.ca. And on the horizon right now, I have a chair yoga and mobility level 1 teacher training coming up at the beginning of April. That's going to be all online. That's for people who really want to fast track into a new teaching skill and work in different organizations and special populations, and also charge more for your services because you are now specialized. And more workshops coming up in March. I'll have another Steel Mace workshop coming up March. One-on-one coaching, always online or in person in Toronto. That's my jam. So that's what I have coming up this year. Yeah, so far the first quarter, that's what we're doing.
Cool. Are you planning on shooting any Steel Mace Vinyasa passive income courses? Hint, hint. I've been
Hinted.
asking all of my head all-star coaches, and I'm just curious if you have that on the docket at all for 2025.
I'm hoping to, yes, because I would love to make some new content right now, especially with like the Mace work, because I don't have any yet because we just came off of mat leave. All my stuff is old and I really want to bring in the new stuff. And one of the things that I feel like I'm uniquely positioned for is the accessibility piece. So I'm really looking at creating probably a bridging program for people that are needing to somehow have some sort of rehab, rehabilitate for shoulders, neck, spine, back, legs, but also including load that's not overly scary, that's not a high impact, as like a bridging the gap, starting people in their strength, like starting strength 101, like for something like that, or is kind of like in my thought processes, because that's something I feel that we don't have a lot of in the strength space generally. And with the mindful mechanics and the yoga piece and the breathing and really understanding the mindset shift that needs to take place when you're healing something. So that's kind of in the back of my mind, percolating on laying out that program and shooting it. But yeah, so hopefully, let's
Well,
see.
you
Let's
just
see if I
said it
can get
out
it
loud.
done.
Now it's on its way to happening. So I just wanted
Yeah.
to encourage you because I know your content for chair mobility is super high quality, high definition video, high definition sound. I'm just super excited to see smaller Steel Mace Vinyasa style or Steel Mace just strength and yoga, or simplify
Yeah.
strength and yoga
Strength
little
and
mini
yoga.
courses coming out in your stand store as well. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Natalie. It's a pleasure to spend a little time with you. And thanks for all of the information that you shared about Embodied Yoga Business School and your path as a holistic movement coach. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you so much for everything. I owe you the world.
Namaste, friend.
Namaste.